Climate change has continued to remain a source of concern to the global community, and this has called for reasons for climate action, whereby every country is required to contribute its own quota to ensure to mitigate climate change in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Remember that there's a need to protect our environment for the future generation. And that is why we'll be discussing on this edition the various SDGs and the contribution of the maritime industry, specifically Nimasa, to the realization of these SDGs in Nigeria. On this edition today, we're discussing SDG 13, talking about climate action. And with me in this set today is Mr. Onyemaechi Ndubuisi. He is a Chief Marine Environment Management Officer with Nimasa. Mr. Ndubuisi, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So as you heard during the introduction, we talked about the SDGs and the maritime sector's contribution, specifically Nimasa's contribution to realization of these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And in this segment, we'll be talking about SDG 13, talking about climate action. Can you tell us what is Nimasa doing about climate action in the maritime sector in Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Let me start by letting us know what SDG 13 is all about. SDG 13 is one of 17 United Nations goals. That is Sustainable Development Goals. And Goal 13 talks about urgent action on climate change. And the key objective of this goal is to reduce emission reduction. Secondly, to promote sustainable development and improve adaptive capacity. Coming to Nimasa as one member of United Nations and IMO has aligned itself to these goals. First, one of the actions Nimasa have taken to ensure that this emission is being reduced, especially in the maritime sector, is the collaboration with NPA, Nigeria Port Authority, okay, ensuring, to designate slow steaming area. Slow steaming area simply means ships approaching the ports, reducing, when they approach the port, they reduce their speeds. This will help in emission reduction. Also, Nimasa is also collaborating with NPA in area of establishing fuel oil bunker hub in Lagos that will serve West Africa and Central Africa. This is a hub that will make available IMO compliance fuel oil to vessels coming into Nigeria. Also, Nimasa is equally, there is this proposal, is equally a collaboration and collaboration with NPA as well to establish shore-based power. Okay. That vessel coming into our shores can put off their engine, or in our shores rather, put off their engine and switch over to the available source of power.
Okay.
Also, Nimasa is equally collaborating. That is the current collaboration with the private sector, UPX, that is United Platform Solution.
Okay.
That is the name of the company. They are trying to establish what is called Nigerian online emission continuous system. It's a device. They want to install a device that we be collecting emission from vessels within our shore and anchorages. By this, I think we'll do. There will be a lot of improvement in terms of, emission reduction in maritime sector in Nigeria.
All right, very good. A quick one now. We're talking about climate action right now, and for there to have been an action, I mean, there's a problem that needs an action, right? Now we have people that live in the hinterlands, people that live in the rural areas, and the coastal communities per se, right? Now, the layman on the street hears climate change, climate action. Can you educate the layman on the streets and tell them what exactly is this climate change and the actions they need to take to mitigate climate change in Nigeria?
Thank you for that question. Climate change simply means change in weather pattern. It is a known fact that our climate has actually changed, and it is caused by emission from the home, the industries, the maritime sector like shipping activities, burning of bushes, and even cooking, especially the use of firewood. So for the action that is being taken, one of the actions that have been taken is desensitization, to let these people know that this climate change is real and there's need to actually reduce and mitigate this emission so that we can save our environment.
All right, so now it's good. You talked about actions being taken, right, by the coastal communities or people in the rural areas and all of that. Now, are there mechanisms in place to monitor, these actions that they are supposed to, to take? For example, there's an issue about open defecation, right? This also affects, the climate. What is the government doing through Nimasa to ensure that, people understand the effects? Because it's one thing to know to take the action, but they must also know that it also affects the community, and their health, and also mortality rates and all sorts of, other things that happens, sicknesses here and there, and diseases. They need to understand this thing. What is Nimasa doing to ensure that they drive down this home to those that need to understand it?
Yes, Nimasa have taken a lot of action, especially in the area of sensitization, trying to educate the communities, especially the coastal communities, on the impacts of this negative impacts of the climate change, and the need for them to actually take actions to reduce the effects, the negative impact of this climate change. Of course, we all know the impacts of this climate change, the flooding, the high temperature, heat waves that can even lead to cancer and all that, food security, so many negative impacts. So Nimasa have actually done well.
All right, thank you so very much for answering that question. But there's this question I want to ask you about nationally determined contribution, right? Because I know that under the Paris Agreement, right, every five years, every country is supposed to have what you call NDCs, nationally determined, either agreements or contributions, on how to, mitigate climate change in their regions. Now, what is Nimasa's plan? And then I know Nimasa is part of the Conference of Parties of this, UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. What is Nimasa doing to ensure that every 5 years there's a review, of these climate change initiatives to ensure that it also falls in line with the SDGs?
Let me start by letting us know that Nimasa have been championing NTC. NTC means National Technical Committee
on what,
emission reduction.
Okay.
Reduction in maritime sector.
Okay.
And members of these committees include Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Agriculture,
Marine and Blue Economy.
Yeah.
And
so,
okay.
So many, just relevant stakeholders. And every 5 years, they try to assess the achievements so far, the challenges, and try to improve in areas that need improvement to move forward. Okay,
quick one, just before I ask you the last question. As you may know, collaboration is very key to actualizing all these, SDGs, right? Even though SDG 17 talks about partnership, we've not got to that yet, right? The question is this. What is Nimasa's level of collaboration with its stakeholders to ensure that they're able to mitigate climate change in Nigeria specifically?
Seriously, if I'm to score Nimasa in that aspect, I'm sure they will make 90%.
Oh, 90%?
Yes,
okay.
Because there's a lot of collaboration. I just mentioned earlier NPA. In area of establishing shore power, area of establishing Lagos bunker hub, and establishing also a slow steaming area, and also Nimasa have a MOU with NIMET.
That's the meteorological agency.
In weather data sharing, providing the agency with weather data that we aid navigation, all that.
Yeah.
And there are other private organizations too Nimasa is collaborating with, apart from the government organizations. Like the one I mentioned earlier, the UPX, that is United Platform Solution Limited, that came on board of recent to propose for, establishing Nigeria Maritime online emission
is it control or something or thereabouts?
Continuous emission system.
Okay.
That is what from the proposal it was meant. We meant to understand what they intend to do is to install device on our waters.
Okay.
That will help to collect emission data from vessels in our anchorage and ports. And this will help us to really assess whether if we need to actually improve in what we are doing or not.
Okay, thank you very much. On a final note, sir, I want to get your thoughts on this. I've asked everybody on this segment this question, talking about by 2030, this set of SDGs may become obsolete, right? After 2030, what happens if the United Nations do not revisit the SDGs? Are we going to live in limbo or just like that? What do you think?
The fact remains that, let me start by saying that definitely some of the SDG goals will be achieved. Some will be matched, maybe with future how do I put it? Initiatives
fine.
In trying to mitigate this climate change thing. And definitely a sector like climate change I doubt if they're going to be, it would continue to revolve, because of course we know that climate change is a global issue today, and that means this the goal will continue to revolve, you know. So I don't think the
SDGs
is going to be obsolete.
It will probably be renewed or rejigged, you know, and then or reworked anyway. Because before these SDGs, we had MDGs, and then MDGs gave birth to these SDGs. So most likely there will be, you know, that's what you think.
Of course.
All right. Thank you very much for, you know, being with us on this segment on SDG 13. To our viewers out there, you've heard it all. Climate change is a global concern, and you and I have the responsibility to keep our environment very clean. You and I need to take an action to also join hands with the government and the regulatory bodies to ensure that our environments are clean. And it's a wrap on this segment. My name is Femi Kumuyi. I remain your host. Thank you and see you next time.